Well, for more, let's speak to our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Hello to you, Philip. We have the accusations, we have the counter-accusations, Ukraine and Russia trading blame here. Any indication which side is telling the truth?
Okay, well, first of all, the situation on the ground there about what we do know. Russia has said that some radiation sensors have been damaged, but it says that the radiation levels for the moment are normal. So it looks as though there's nothing to worry about right now. Second thing is, the Nuclear Energy Agency in Ukraine says an administrative office near the welding area was hit. The storage of radiation sources was also hit. There was a small fire on some nearby grass, but no injuries, and the fire station located near the plant was also targeted. Now, the bottom line is that neither Russia nor Ukraine are going to accept responsibility for this shelling. They're both going to point the finger at each other, and there is a reason for that, and that is that if one side were to own up to having been behind these shelling attacks, that would automatically bring in the wrath of the international community for them being a side which is not taking the responsibility to protect the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant. And I think it's more in the interest of Russia to point the finger at Ukraine, saying, well, it's Ukraine doing this, that's why we're occupying this plant to protect it, which is what the Russian ambassador to the United Nations has been saying, and Ukraine pointing the finger at Russia, saying, well, look, Russia is shelling this plant. This is a major danger, and we have got to get the international community to get together to get Russia out of that site so we can put it back into the control of Ukrainian forces. So we don't know at this time who is behind these shelling attacks. And it doesn't look as though anytime soon we're going to find out the answer to that question.
Zaporizhzhia is Europe's largest nuclear power plant. Just what are the risks of this shelling?
Well, we have to break it down into three areas. The first area is the plant itself. Now, if you go back to Chernobyl in 1986, the Chernobyl plant, which was also in Ukraine, was much less well built than nuclear plants have been constructed since then. That was like the lesson to learn by. So as far as Zaporizhzhia is concerned, there's no comparison to Chernobyl of 1986. So it's not going to be hit by a missile and that's going to send out a cloud of radioactive material into the air. So the plant is pretty strong. It could resist missile attacks. It could even resist an aeroplane crash on top of it because all the necessary steps are now taken to protect all the areas around there from any nuclear fallout. There are other areas, though, where there is more concern to be had. The first one is the radioactive storage areas. What are these? This is where spent nuclear fuel is taken to. It's put in cooling ponds for years to cool down, and then it's put in dry cask storage facility tanks. Now, between those two periods, there is a time when, if there was an attack against there, that could lead to the escape of radioactive material from there, which could cause trouble because it's not as well protected as the nuclear reactors. And the second area is electricity, because electricity is needed to keep water circulating round the nuclear reactors to keep them cool. Now, if that water is no longer circulating around those nuclear reactors, that could lead to a nuclear meltdown, and we could see something similar to what we saw in Fukushima back in 2011, where that facility was damaged by the tsunami wave in Japan. So it's very important the electricity supplies are maintained. Now, if the electricity is going to break down there, or if it does break down, there is a diesel backup. If that breaks down as well, it could cause serious problems. The reassuring news now is that Ukraine is saying that there is a restoration power line which is effectively in operation. So it looks for the short period, at least in the short term, that there's no threat that electricity supplies could go down in that nuclear plant.
All right, Philip, thank you very much. Philip Turle, France 24's International Affairs Editor.